The fall semester has begun and our Lewis athletic teams are back in action. We have the latest in Lewis athletics coming up right now. Hello and welcome to Flyer Nation, your source for the latest news in Lewis athletics. Thanks for joining us here on LUTN and online. I'm Shane Gustafson.
And I'm Natalie Budig. Joining us later on in the show is Lewis head women's volleyball coach Lorelee Smith. She'll talk about the team at the start of the school year as well as their trip to Florida over the weekend.
But before we get to that, let's take a look at some other Flyer sports headlines. The Lewis women's volleyball team started their 2014 season by traveling to South Lakeland, Florida. The women played 4 games throughout the weekend against other D2 schools that they don't normally play. The team started strong on Friday evening and picked up a 3-0 sweep over New Haven in their first game of the season. Senior Amy Choi picked up 17 digs in the game and helped the Flyers, while senior Kim Burton collected 10 kills on the day. Later that night, the Flyers took on Florida Southern but couldn't continue their success. The Flyers were swept in 3 sets and lost 3-0. The next day, the ladies took on Nova Southeastern in a tough matchup. Redshirt junior Alexis DeVito put up a career-high 23 kills in the 5th set to help bring the Flyers to a 3-2 victory. Junior Morgan Sabella hit a .409 on the night and picked up 11 kills, while Amy Choi collected a match-high 22 digs on the game. On Saturday night, the Flyers played Flagler, and the freshmen showed up on the team to play. Allie Schneider collected a match-high 15 kills and hit .616 with just 2 errors in the game, I should say. The Flyers picked up a 3-0 sweep, which marked head coach Lorelee Smith's 200th career victory. The team will return to action on Saturday as they begin conference play at Quincy University.
The Lewis men's cross-country team won their first race of the 2014 season last weekend. The team traveled to Hammond, Indiana to compete in the Crimson Wave Invitational hosted by Calumet College of St. Joseph's. The Flyers had 5 runners place in the top 7 at the event and captured the meet title with a total of 21 points. Freshman Jacob Timmons led the team with a 2nd place finish overall, and sophomore Zach Akara finished in 3rd place overall. Lewis head cross-country coach James Kearney says he's happy with the way his team performed in the first meet of the season, and he hopes to continue this success. The team is back in action on September 19th in South Bend, Indiana, competing in the National Catholic Invitational hosted by Notre Dame.
The Lewis men's soccer team kicked off their season last week, taking on the Saginaw Valley State Cardinals. The number 15 Flyers found themselves down early in the first half of the game after giving up 2 goals to the Cardinals. Flyers senior middle infielder George Thompson and junior midfielder Luke Komrowski each had 2 shots on goal and led the team offensively. Through the entire match, the Flyers couldn't put anything on the board and dropped the match 2-0. On Saturday, the men took on Alderson Balduris and were able to pick up a 3-1 victory on the road. That win puts the Flyers' record at 1-1 on the season. The team is back in action on Friday when they welcome Drury to the Lewis Stadium.
The women's soccer team kicked off their season this weekend as well. On Friday night, the team welcomed Charleston to the Lewis Stadium, but the game was delayed for an hour and 50 minutes due to inclement weather. Once the game started, the Flyers found themselves down by 1, and at the 72-minute mark, junior Lauren Grady kicked in a goal to put the Flyers on the board and tie the game. The Flyers had a few more chances throughout the night to score, but didn't put anything else on the board. The game went into overtime, but severe weather struck again, and the overtime period was delayed due to lightning. Then the game was canceled. The Flyers in Charleston ended with a 1-1 tie. On Sunday, the ladies traveled to Findlay, Ohio to take on the Oilers in a non-conference game. The Flyers were down early in the first half, but juniors Jessica Chavez and Maggie Morin teamed up to put the Flyers on the board. That's all the Flyers were able to do, though, and dropped the game 2-1. The team is back in action on Friday when they welcome in Drury University.
The Lewis men's tennis team traveled to St. Louis over the weekend to compete in the Billiken Classic. The Flyers brought home 5 out of a possible 10 championships in St. Louis. Lewis senior Armand Lavandi captured the #1 championship in the #1 singles competition after winning all 3 of his matches. Senior Eric Onapu won his event at the #2 singles, defeating SIU Edwardsville, and sophomore Matej Sarandovic took home the #3 single championships. Lewis head men's tennis coach Brett Brydell says he's proud of how well the guys played over the weekend. The team will now head to Highland Heights, Kentucky next Friday to participate in the NKU Norse Invitational. So a lot going on so far this school year. Lots of games this past weekend.
Right, exactly. We've only been in school for 2 weeks, and that hasn't stopped our athletic teams.
No, it hasn't.
Definitely coming in hot.
They are. All right, well, when we come back, we'll have Lewis head women's volleyball coach Lorelee Smith. Don't go away.
Oh! Checking your fantasy league?
Nah, just my 401k statement.
Nice. Where'd you find the money for that?
I just been saving a little every month.
I can't seem to save anything.
Well, what about all this? What about the money you're spending?
What money? It's gone before I can get my hands on it.
I got a pizza for a Todd.
Hey, can somebody spot me?
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind.
It's 547.
Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org.
So who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice. And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
We couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
In 1978, 6 institutions joined to form one of the nation's top NCAA Division II conferences. Today, this union has expanded to 16 proud members celebrating 35 years of commitment to the classroom, championships, and the community. Pioneers who paved the way, leaders who emerged from within. Progress made possible by people. Today, it's those people that inspire the next generation to guide us forward in the next 35 years. We are the Great Lakes Valley Conference.
You know what, guys? There's a lot of tree branches and dry brush over here. We should probably move the bonfire over there.
I'm guessing Smokey liked that idea.
Welcome back to Flyer Nation. The women's volleyball team started their season over the weekend in Florida. Out of the 4 games the Flyers played, they picked up 3 victories over other D2 schools. 2 of those victories were sweeps. Joining us now to talk about the weekend and the rest of the season is Lewis head women's volleyball coach Lorelee Smith. Thanks for joining us today, Coach.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
So I guess we'll start off talking about the weekend. How did everything go down in Florida this weekend?
From a coach's point of view, I think you couldn't have asked for better. I mean, nobody likes losing, but sometimes if you don't lose or you don't go to 5, you don't really know what your team's struggling with. So to come out 3-1 and have a pretty clear-cut, plan of action of how to improve is, I say, a very good success.
So on Saturday against Nova Southeastern, the team went to 5 sets. What's that like to play an early season 5-set game?
I think 5 at any point is nerve-wracking, but it shows you who steps it up, who might play scared, and again, what things you really need to work on, because making the right decisions in crunch time is pretty huge.
So what did you see as a coach in that game or Florida in general that might help the team continuing into the rest of the season?
We have a lot of returners back from last year, but what's really helped us this year is we have a pretty strong middle attack. So Morgan Sabula and Allie Schneider this weekend proved that, they're part of our offense now. And so instead of having 2 go-to hitters, we've got 4 or possibly 5 on a really good night.
So last season the team went 24-10, advanced to the GLVC championship tournament, actually hosted the tournament. Mm-hmm. How do you as a coach help try to get that team to that point again this year?
Luckily with this team, I don't have to do much. They set those goals, and I think they expect to win conference. It's a goal to win conference. It's a goal to host. And so they kind of put that type of pressure and that type of attitude on themselves without me having to talk about it.
So looking at the team, there's 4 seniors on the team, 3 juniors on the team. How important are the upperclassmen to the structure of the team?
They're pretty huge. 3 of our seniors this year, they've all started quite a bit. And just their leadership and their court presence, I think, is heavily relied on. And then same thing with the junior class. 2 of them in general, started all season last year and were really strongly relied on. So I'd say we're an upperclassman dominant team.
And speaking of you have upperclassmen, there's also freshmen on the team. You have 4 freshmen on this year's team. A few of them saw some playing time over the weekend. Talk about their playing a little bit.
Yeah, of the 4, 2 are redshirting, so you won't see them play at all, even though they're exceptionally very good. And then the other 2 that are not redshirting saw playing time. And as a group, they're probably the most intelligent volleyball class I've ever had come in, so they've caught on to our offense, our defense extremely quickly. And I think if you were to watch our practices or even our matches, you wouldn't be able to pick out who was freshmen and who was seniors, and that's really just impressive.
So on this year's team, you have 25 players, which is the most you've had on a team in your time here at Lewis. What's it like for you as a coach?
It's nothing you plan. A normal roster for volleyball is probably anywhere between 14 and 18. Some of the smaller teams even have 12, and so we're looking at twice that many. It just happened, so I think maybe how you do with baseball, like player management, roster management is going to be a huge part of my responsibility, and I just have to do my job.
So the GLVC season starts this weekend on the road. Your team plays Quincy and then Winona State. That's not a GLVC game, but Quincy is. And then after that, it's Truman State. How do you prepare for going into GLVC play?
Well, again, the team set goals, and so I think naturally this week they're going to be extremely focused because they know it's the start of conference, and they'd really like to go undefeated. And we've got 2 matches, and the third match of the weekend is still a conference match, so they're going to have to pull out their own reserves, and we'd like to use our bench as deep as we can. But it really comes down to them focusing in practice, and the coach is doing really good on their scouting.
So next weekend, the team plays their first home game. How excited are they to be at home?
The girls love playing at home. We've got a great fan base. Parents travel everywhere, but when we're at home, their friends get to see them play. Our gym is fantastic. You can feel the energy no matter how big or small the crowd is. And so I think ideally they would play at home every weekend if they could.
So I've noticed on the Lewis Flyers website this year that some of the ladies are keeping a diary on there. What's that about?
We've actually always done that. It's partly for recruiting and then a lot for fans and parents. So each week 2 of the girls have to submit, really it is just a diary. We give them questions that they can answer if they want to, just basic ones, but they can really go off on any tangent they want to, just to let people know what it's like. And with such a big team, I think it gets pretty exciting. You get to feel for what their personalities are like, and each player has certain things on road trips that mean more to them than others. So it's just a way for you to see into how they're thinking.
All right. Anything else that you want to talk about while you're here, Coach?
No, just if you have a chance to come out to our games, they're really exciting to watch this year, so I think you'd have a good time.
All right. Well, we're going to take a quick break, but don't go anywhere. We'll be right back here on Flyer Nation.
Did you know kids who play outdoors have healthier lungs?
Totally.
Did you know that boys that play with dolls make better husbands?
My son has lots of dolls. But did you know terry cloth diapers breathe better?
I did.
It's totally true.
Oh, yeah.
Did you guys know statistically friendly kids have more friends?
Yeah.
That's obvious.
Did you know most people think they're using the right car seat for their kid, but they're not?
Parents who really know it all know for sure that their child is in the right seat. Visit safercar.gov/the right seat to make sure your child is protected.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
That's low. That's low and below. Seriously.
What do you think it would be like to teach? Chances are, you have no idea. Teachers today are breaking down obstacles, finding innovative ways to instill old lessons, proving that greatness can be found in everyday places, and that you don't need to be famous to be unforgettable. That's what it's like to teach.
Welcome back to Flyer Nation. We're just 3 weeks into the new school year, and there aren't too many athletes earning recognition throughout the GLVC yet. However, one Flyer isn't wasting much time and is earning recognition already. Over the weekend, the Lewis women's golf team hosted the Prairie State Preview. Several schools from the region competed, and Lewis came in third place overall. However, sophomore Melissa Van Sistine shot a career-low 75 and earned the individual championship for the Flyers. Van Sistine says she didn't do anything different than usual. She just had a good day on the course.
I think the key thing was just like staying excited, like being ready to play again. And then also, I mean, we've had some bad weather, especially last spring. So I'm pretty used to playing in those conditions. So I think that helped that I knew how I needed to play the shots. So that helped a lot.
Van Sistine and the Flyers will hit the road this week competing at the CSU Pueblo Wolfpack Invitational.
Even though the GLVC hasn't officially announced the Player of the Week in any category, we can still pick our Players of the Week for events that have happened so far this school year. Our first Player of the Week will go to Alexis DeVito of the Lewis women's volleyball team. DeVito picked up a career-high 23 kills over Nova Southeastern on Saturday night, and she earns this week's Player of the Week award.
We'll also give our Player of the Week award to George Thompson of the Lewis men's soccer team. Thompson had a hat trick on Saturday night to lead the number 15 Flyers to a 3-1 victory. Thompson is a senior on the team this year and provides a spark to the team and his teammates, earning this week's Player of the Week award.
Over the summer, the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge took over the internet. Everybody from famous celebrities to college students took part in the Icy Challenge. The Lewis Athletics Department was no different and did their part to compete. Members of the men's basketball team decided to take the plunge and challenged every other basketball program in the GLVC last week. Their reactions were kind of cool. Earlier this summer, many of the athletic department administrators, including athletic director John Planick, accepted the Ice Bucket Challenge.
So the men's basketball team did the Ice Bucket Challenge. Have you yourself done the Ice Bucket Challenge?
I have, yeah.
Have you?
Yeah, it was interesting. You did it too, right?
I did it too. I did it as well. I was kind of a wuss. I didn't put a ton of water in my bucket, and I only did maybe half a cup of ice. But it was a big cup. We'll just go with it. It was a big cup, so I used enough, right?
No, you can never have enough ice, but
maybe we'll have to do that on the show. We could do the Ice Bucket
Challenge Flyer Nation edition.
Yeah, we could do that.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll have to see.
We'll see. Anyways, we'll have to find out later because we're going to take a quick break right now. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Kids will spend 15 minutes watching online videos like this one.
Brushing for 2 minutes now can save your child from severe tooth pain later. 2 minutes twice a day. They have the time.
Mom, can we get some ice cream? Please, Mom, please.
No, we're having dinner soon.
Please.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of children in foster care who will take you just as you are.
Separate raw meats from other foods by using different cutting boards. 3,000 Americans will die from food poisoning this year. Keep your family safer. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov.
That's low. That's low. That's low. Look, he's blushing. Seriously.
We've been back in school for a few weeks, and by now you might be getting tired of the same routine, so why not head out to a Lewis athletic event? Here's what's going on this weekend. On Friday night, the Lewis men's and women's soccer teams are at home taking on Drury. The men's game is set to start at 5 o'clock, with the women playing at 7:30. Both games can be seen right here on LUTN. The women's volleyball team will begin their conference season this weekend as they travel to Quincy to take on the Hawks. First serve is set for 3 o'clock. And on Sunday, the men's and women's soccer teams welcome Missouri S&T to the Lewis Stadium. The men will play at noon, while the women will play at 2:30.
If you can't make it out to see the Flyers play in person, you can always watch the games live here on LUTN Channel 6 or online at lewisflyers.com. Also keep in mind that we have a high school football game of the week every Friday night on our radio station, WLRA 88.1 FM.
This semester, we're looking to make our show even better and bring you more of what you want to see. If you have any suggestions or comments for the show, feel free to send us an email using the address that's on the screen below. We hope to hear from you. A lot of games coming up this weekend. Soccer, volleyball, everything pretty much.
Right, and we even have football with high school football,
right.
So that'll be good to hear about. So lots of stuff going on.
That is for sure. Anyways, that will do it for us here this week on Flyer Nation. Thanks for joining us.
Be sure to join us right here on LUTN next week for your latest in Lewis athletics.
And from all of us here at Flyer Nation, have a good day.
In 1978, 6 institutions joined to form one of the nation's top NCAA Division II conferences. Today, this union has expanded to 16 proud members celebrating 35 years of commitment to the classroom, championships, and the community. Pioneers who paved the way, leaders who emerged from within. Progress made possible by people. Today, it's those people that inspire the next generation to guide us forward in the next 35 years. We are the Great Lakes Valley Conference.